Hey everybody, welcome back to the Sales on Demand Show. I'm Adam Schneider, and this is episode 86. Today we're going to be talking about putting those design creation muscles into overdrive. As you hopefully know, if you've been listening to any episodes of this podcast, you'll know we're coming up on Christmas here, and you need to get those designs up. Today I'm going to be talking about what you should be doing to collect good ideas and how you turn those good ideas into designs and get them out on the platforms. So it's very practical. Alright, so, I know that this episode is a little late coming out. I was fairly busy over the weekend. Just finished a really fairly extensive Launchpad seminar with Rachel Raffay. I was co-hosting with Rachel. I actually can't hardly believe I actually get to do this, but I was talking a lot, and I sort of kind of lost my voice a little bit near the end of that, so I decided to hold off a few days to do the podcast episode, because I'm doing a lot more talking these days, and it is kind of hard on the voice, so I have to make sure I don't overstrain my vocal cords. I don't want to be sounding like I actually am sick. But yeah, that was what I was doing this weekend. It was a lot of fun. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second. And also there was kind of a big snowstorm too, so the kids actually got a snow day, which here in Canada is pretty rare. I mean, you might be thinking that we get lots of snow days here, but not really. Generally speaking, if you can walk through the snow and it's not like, knee deep or the roads are even sort of cleared, they usually don't cancel school for the kids. But they did, because it was blowing and there was crazy drifts everywhere, and I guess people were having trouble getting out of their driveways. And most of the kids around here, they live on farms, so they got to go and plow the cows out or something. No, I don't know. They just canceled school, so the kids had the day off, and I'm sure they were really disappointed about that. I mean, I heard one of them crying in there, saying they wanted to go back to math class, and I was like, well, sorry about that. Not today. Anyway, so sales are beginning to sharply rise. Not as sharply as they will come closer to Black Friday and Cyber Monday, but you can really tell that the election and all that stuff is kind of just fading out of people's memories. Pretty much 95% of people have made peace with whatever is going to happen in the election. Talking about the election, this is the first episode post-election, and of course, there has been an enormous amount of completely predictable back and forth. The media hilariously has declared Joe Biden the winner of the election. Maybe he won. I think there's a really good chance that he's going to win. And I kind of predicted that he was going to win in my own brain. I was ready for that, and it just sort of was a done deal in my head. But it is quite entertaining that the media have openly said that they are the ones who get to decide who is the winner. It's... I almost want... Look, I don't really care if Trump wins or loses, okay? I'll just be honest with you. I thought Trump was entertaining. He wasn't my Lord and Savior. I have another Lord and Savior. He doesn't have... His hair isn't thinning out, and he doesn't, put orange fake tan on his face. But Trump was entertaining, and he really drove people crazy. So that was the entertainment value for me. And, when I was driving around in my last job, I had very little entertainment with anything else, so I listened to a lot of podcasts and stuff like that, so it was kind of a thing that just sort of passed the time for me. I almost want Trump to have this huge comeback just so the media and the establishment will be crying. Now, I don't really want that, because I don't know if Trump's really earned another 4 years as the president. I mean, he kind of screwed it up for himself. I mean, despite the fact that he did reasonably well. He did much better than anybody expected him to do, and he did increase his share of the vote amongst black people, Latinos, and, you're not even going to believe this, gay people, queer men. 45% of queer men voted for Donald Trump. So, I mean, it just tells you that these so-called groups are not actually groups. They're just individual people who have individual values, and they don't group think. I almost want Trump to win just so those people will think about their lives and how and their values, but they won't. That's the thing. They're not going to think about any of that, and they're just going to continue the same charade of Trump is a racist, everybody who supported him is a racist. I'm just so tired of this. Really, I'm just tired of politics. So I think I'm just going to vote for Cthulhu in whatever election comes next, and you guys can all cower in terror before Cthulhu, the god of the sea. I'm just kidding. So, I mean, I guess I look forward to the entertainment value of Joe Biden's many, many, many forthcoming gaffes. You know, maybe he'll talk about his arm hair next or something. I don't know. But it'll be what it'll be, right? There's nothing that any of us can do about it. There will be some legal challenges in court. They probably won't succeed, and Trump will go back to being what he was before. And his followers will continue to support him. And he's already talking about running for president in 2024, which, I mean, honestly, I don't know why I didn't see that coming, because it is very predictable. I don't know if he'll win the nomination, but I'd say there's like a 60% chance he will, unless there's someone insanely talented running against him. So we might be doing a part 2 4 years from now, which, I don't know. I guess it'll be entertaining. I don't know. Anyway, moving on from the election stuff, because really that doesn't matter now. We're coming into Christmas, and now's the time to start making money. The whole world is talking about more lockdowns, which is just stupid. Just plainly and truly stupid. But I can't let myself get distracted by that as much as I want to, because our businesses are doing well. The lockdowns have actually been kind of in our favor. People are shopping online more. We had an excellent Mother's Day and Father's Day, and we just have to adapt to what's happening. We don't have any control over the world around us. We have far less control than we'd like, for sure, and we have to be flexible. So I'm choosing to be flexible instead of angry about the situations that I see going on around me, even though my heart truly hurts for the people whose lives are being very destroyed by these lockdowns, the people who are actually going to starve to death and die of tuberculosis and cancer and suicide. My heart hurts for those people. But, I'm going to make the best of this for me and my family. And for you guys listening to me, you also have the opportunity to make the best of this. So let's do that. Well, what is currently selling? So here's what I'm seeing in my sales numbers. Okay, so of course I've said before that I'm going really hard on customization this year. So I've added, I haven't added a ton of customized items in the last 4 or 5 days. I've been tied up with the coaching and everything. So I'll be back doing that this week, and of course masks continue to sell really well. Not as well as they did, of course, in May, June, July, and August. I only got started selling masks in July. That's when the peak was sort of coming down, but they continue to just sort of sell in the background, and I think they will be for the foreseeable future. On Amazon, where everyone else thinks you can't sell masks, I sell masks. So I sell probably, 1 or 2 a day, and it's just a good little item that just sells. And I make probably $10 per sale, and it's just cash in my pocket, right? $10, $20 a day. So I'm not going hard on creating more masks. I did, 2 months ago when the peak was up, but the masks that I have that are selling, they're selling reasonably well, and I'm going to keep them going. If you want to try and create more masks, go and have a listen to the episode that I had all about what sells on masks. And of course, if you subscribe to my newsletter, which you should be, then I actually tell you how you can list those masks on Amazon, because there's a special way that you got to do it, or Amazon will ban them. All right, so let's talk about non-customization. So, of course, the easiest way to get started selling, actually before we begin doing that, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that you could get a free video on weekly tips when you join my email list, plus information that is not included in the weekly podcast. Plus, I give you a special discount code for the training course that I launched probably, a month and a half ago now. It's got almost 20 people signed up in there, which is pretty good for, the couple hundred people that listen to this podcast. I have somebody that's going to be promoting it pretty soon, hopefully. And that should bring another probably 50, 60 people into the training program. But all of you guys listening have been asking excellent questions. Lots of people are engaging on the Facebook group. The Facebook group is a free part of that training. And you can find out more about that at salesonbandshow.com/AZ. The letter A, the letter Z, no spaces, no funny marks. Just put AZ in there. You'll find that. Then you get that free discount code, which is SOD200. And, of course, the first 50 people to sign up are also going to get a free hour of mentorship from me, one-on-one. There's a link in there to claim your free hours of mentorship, so make sure you do that, because so far I've only had one person actually want to use that free hour of mentorship. So SOD200 gets you $200 off the regular price of $500, and you guys can start making money right away. There are many people who are making sales within a week. This is the time that you could be making sales within even a day. Theoretically, you could. Now, we're going to talk about super easy ways to find great design ideas right now. So I got 3 of these. So one of the things that I'm doing for Rachel Raffay's special Ecom Pro Ecom Elite is that I am hosting 2 weekly coaching sessions only for her students, right? So, unfortunately, you guys, being listeners of mine, this is almost like a coaching session, but these coaching sessions are only available to Rachel's students. I do have a link if you wanted to join the low-hanging system. Honestly, I would recommend waiting till probably January, because honestly, I'm giving you guys so much information in my training program, and my training program is much, much cheaper. It really is. Rachel charges somewhere between $2,000 and $4,000 to join her program. So she has a lot of benefits and bonuses that I can't give you, but I am looking at adding some of my own bonuses. I'll probably charge more for my training program in the future, but I'll be including some amazing bonuses. One bonus in particular, where I actually go and start doing Amazon FBA for you, and I go and find amazing products, add them to your store on Amazon. You don't have to do anything. So that's what I've been doing for Rachel's students, and that's what I'm thinking of offering as a bonus for my training. But that's probably going to be in January. So in the meantime, I'm hosting these twice weekly coaching sessions, and I just created a product live on one of those sessions. And there's a reason I'm going through this, and because this is how easy it is to create products. So the experience that I have does play into that, right? So, I kind of know what's going to sell already, or what potentially could sell. And when I'm looking through ideas, if I see something and it, resonates with me, then I know that it's very likely to resonate with people who are shopping. And not to mention that I've done so much research on what is selling that I kind of know instinctively the kind of things that have potential to sell. I'm not like forecasting the future here, but I'm definitely a lot better at this than I used to be. So I went on this coaching session. I created a product. It's just a text product. There's one font. And in the 4 or 5 days since I created that was last Tuesday, so that's 6 days, I guess. It has gotten 4 favorites on Etsy. Hasn't gotten any sales yet, but 4 people have favorited that item. And I'll even tell you what the phrase is. The phrase is, they call me the horse whisperer. So basically what I did is I threw it out to the students in the coaching session. I said, all right, give me a topic. And somebody typed in equestrian, which I already know means horses. So, of course, horses, there's tons of people out there who just love horses. And so I was like, okay, there's like 45 people listening to my voice, and I'm like, I'm going to come up with a phrase for this. So I just came up with, they call me the horse whisperer. And I put punctuation and everything in there. And I, made the design on PicMonkey, downloaded it, put it on Gearbubble, uploaded it to my Etsy store, created a title, and I launched it. And it took me, I don't know, like the actual time spent doing that was maybe 2 or 3 minutes. So that item has gotten 4 favorites, which means that it's very likely to get a sale when it gets closer to Christmas. Because this is what people are doing right now. They're going through and they're looking for what they might want to buy. Somebody even said, and I think this is probably true, that during the week, like Monday to Friday, people are going to go and they're going to favorite things that they want, and then on the weekend, they're going to buy them. I don't know if that's 100% true. I mean, maybe that's, part of it, but definitely people are favoriting things that they're going to buy later on closer to Christmas. And on Etsy, that favoriting thing is a huge data point. And by data point, I mean it's information, right? That tells you something, okay? So it tells me that little phrase there, they call me the blank whisperer, is something that I could expand. And I call that a template, right? So the very first super easy way to find great design ideas is to find these templates. A template is a phrase that you can delete a word and put another word in there, and it still is funny or clever, and people might buy it. And these templates are amazing for expanding to many different niches. They're not very specific for one particular niche, although Horse Whisperer is a little bit more specific, but people still use Whisperer in other contexts, and it makes sense in other contexts. So think of this. Okay, so they call me the lizard whisperer. Somebody who loves lizards and raises them. They would probably think of themselves as being like a lizard whisperer, or a cat whisperer, or an insect whisperer. So the whole idea of being a something whisperer is actually in the cultural zeitgeist. Sorry, I'm using these sort of fancy psychologist words, but people think of that beyond just being a horse whisperer. I think there was a movie or something called The Horse Whisperer. Maybe that's how it kind of appeared in the culture, but that's an example of a template that could be applied to a lot of different niches. And niches, of course, are there's a lot of different things. Animal breeds, family members, fun activities, outdoor activities, hobbies, professions. And so you're going to find these phrases. So here's another one. This is a generic one. Maybe it's been overdone, but I'll throw it out there anyway because I think people are still buying it. And it's the keep calm and call a blank. So blank would be a profession. And maybe it could also be a family member or something like that. So keep calm and call Papa. I think that'd be a good one. So you could just make a template on PicMonkey or Canva or something like that. You could even do this on Mug Samurai. So I've talked about Mug Samurai before, and it's a cute little program that a friend of mine developed. I mean, he's a friend of mine now, but it's just one guy developing this program. But basically, it takes these phrases and it turns them into designs and it uploads them to Gearbubble. So it saves you the whole, going through PicMonkey or Canva and making a design, downloading it, and then re-uploading it. It is one of the coolest programs that I've ever seen, and I really haven't used it as much as I should be using it. So that's my bad. But I used it today, and I created a bunch of. I actually created a bunch of the phrase. They call me the blank whisperer, and I'm using dog breeds for that one. So I'll probably go back through and do, I don't know, maybe some professions or something. There's so many different ways to use that phrase that I've just got to make sure I don't go too deep in that. So one thing, if you're going to use a template to create designs, this is what I recommend. Okay, don't go too hard on one template unless you get some sales from it. So let's say you find a phrase here, and your phrase is I had a page that I created with about 80 of these phrases on it, and now now that I'm trying to remember them, I cannot tell you what. I'm going to pause and I'm going to find that. Okay, perfect. So I've got my little phrase templates here open, so I'm going to just throw a few of them out there for you. So don't make me use my blank voice. So that one came from the whole don't make me use my mom voice, but that could also be don't make me use my lawyer voice, don't make me use my nurse voice, don't make me use my doctor voice, don't make me use my pastor voice. There's a whole pile of professions that could fit in that template. Here's another one. Sorry, I can't come. I'll be busy playing saxophone. Or I'll be busy playing soccer. I'll be busy windsurfing. So, yeah, these templates, you can fit hundreds of different words in them and they still make sense and they're still funny. Here's another one. I'm not ignoring you. I'm dreaming about soccer. Or I'm dreaming about playing guitar. So that's a popular one. And here's one. It's that I enjoy blank and maybe 3 people. So I enjoy tennis and maybe 2 or 3 people. I see that quite a bit on Amazon and, I haven't really looked on Etsy, but, if it's selling on Amazon, that's all you really need to know, right? So these little template phrases are good ways to get started if you're not accustomed to, doing print on demand. This is the way to start and build up a portfolio of designs and get some stuff out there for people to buy. I don't know. These ones are the least likely to make sales because they are sometimes fairly generic, but they're not worthless, and they're so easy to create that you can do 50 a day and not break a sweat. Especially if you're using software like Gearbubble Bulk Lister to upload. So that'll be gbulklister.com. It's just a macro software that you can use to automate the uploading to Gearbubble, and then it'll automatically post to Amazon for you too. You got to set that up, but it's fast and it's easy to use. So if you're using tools like that, you could do 100 a day without breaking a sweat. And this is how people like my friend Bank, and again, I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. He's from Thailand, and his last name starts with a K. So I won't do him the disservice of trying to pronounce and probably butcher his last name. But he's a brilliant guy, very good at running ads. He also does the low-hanging system, and he does just simple phrases like this. But he hires someone to do it, and he just does these templates, and he's got like 100,000 designs listed on Amazon. So it's just an insane number of designs, but they're so easy to create that it wouldn't be hard for you to get to 10,000 in a year. Like I said, you could do 100 a day. So that is one way to do it. Another way for ideas, let me get back to my notes here, is very specific phrases for a niche. So, as you can imagine, there are phrases that sound good for lots of different, types of niches and activities and professions, but there are some that really only work for a few. So, those ones, you're going to find, let's say you're looking up nursing, and a good way to search is for looking for e-cards. So, templates, you're going to find those on Pinterest and on Etsy. And for these specific phrases for a niche, you're going to find those probably on e-cards, but you also might find them on Pinterest as well. But you'll know that they won't work for every niche. They'll only work for a few. So here's an example. I got one for what is it? Jiu-jitsu. And it's what it said was jiu-jitsu is the subtle art of human folding. Something like that. I actually have this design launched in my store, and I can't remember the phrase exactly, but it only really works for that specific thing because, it's very, very specific for jiu-jitsu. The subtle art of people folding. That's what it is. Yeah, so it doesn't work for like karate because jiu-jitsu is, if you know anything about jiu-jitsu, it is kind of like people folding, right? So it works well for jiu-jitsu, but it doesn't work well for karate or anything like that. That would be an example of something that's very specific for that niche. But those specific phrases can be much more, they might sell much better, right? Because they are clever. They're often people probably haven't seen them before if they're looking for that niche. Let's say they're looking for jiu-jitsu gifts, right? So people are more likely to buy that, but it takes more work to find them. So, on a balance of what's going to be more worth your time, I would say both of those things are going to be worth your time. Look for templates and look for specific phrases that work for a particular niche. So, of course, these particular niches can be found. If you're wondering what niches can be used, any activity, anything that people love to do, like rock climbing, mountain climbing, I have lists in my training program, but you can also find these lists just by Googling them online. The top 100 activities people do at home. That'll get you started. And really, the top 100 is what you're going to be wanting to use because those are going to be the ones with the most customers, right? So that's the second thing second way to find super great design ideas that you can use to create simple text designs and upload hundreds and hundreds and make some sales. So the third thing, and this is a little bit more difficult, especially if you come from a foreign country. I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you guys. If you don't live in the United States, it is more difficult to do this. But another thing that people like to buy is cultural topics that might be going through people's minds. So this would include things like the election and Donald Trump. Of course, Trump mugs were a huge thing over the last 4 years. I've sold, I don't know how many Trump mugs I've sold. At least 2,000. Like, so many. Just, people loved them. And I think they're still kind of okay. Like, I haven't, restocked my Trump mugs on Amazon. I was doing FBA for Donald Trump mugs. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know if he's going to win the election, so I'm not restocking them. I did end up sending one box of one item that I think will sell, but I'm not doing any more. So these cultural topics and memes tend to be short-lived, but you can still get a decent number of sales for them while they're in the public, right? So when I first started selling, and this is an example I'll use, is there in August, I think, of 2017, there was a solar eclipse. And I don't know what it was about this solar eclipse. Everybody was really interested in it. It's right in the middle of the summer. I guess everybody was kind of bored. So I made a few designs for the solar eclipse. And they sold. And I was astonished. I wouldn't have even known about it if somebody hadn't told me about this. And I thought, oh, I should make a few solar eclipse designs. So I did. And I probably made like 20 sales out of that. So it was worth, $400 in sales for maybe, if I had to guess how much work I put in, maybe like 2-3 hours worth of work. So it was worth it. It was well worth it for me to do that, to make those sales, and especially since my Amazon account was brand spanking new, and I hadn't gotten very many sales. That cultural topic there, the what was I talking about? Oh yeah, it was an eclipse. Sorry, I'm SpongeBob. Things fly out of my head. That helped me get my account kind of seasoned with some sales, and that's a good way to do it. If you're thinking to yourself that you can't get any sales on Facebook, well, that's one way to do it, is to make a lot of designs from cultural topics. Now the thing is, you just don't know which cultural topics are going to resonate with people. So I've done a few things that I thought would sell, and they didn't. But then I've done things that I thought were just throwaways, and they ended up doing pretty well. So you kind of have to experiment with that. Again, you'll spend some time doing it, and eventually you start to kind of get an idea of what people are looking for. But also, you do have to be pretty enmeshed in what's happening in the culture, which is difficult to do if you don't live in the U.S., and very difficult to do if your native language is not English. So, of course, it's challenging. I know in this coaching program that I'm a part of, there's a lot of people from Australia and plenty more from the UK. I think the Australians might have a little bit better chance of, knowing what Americans are thinking about. But, it's still difficult because you guys live in your world and we live in our world. Like here in Canada, we're so close to the US that we might as well be, the 53rd state. Wait, there's only 50 states. Okay, I'm an idiot. No, we're the 51st state. That's what I meant to say. So, we're pretty well connected with the U.S., culture. But if you're not, then you kind of have to try and keep in touch with that. So I like to collect memes from Facebook. And here's another thing that you can do is TV show quotes. Okay, so I have to be very careful about this because I'm not telling you guys to use TV shows as, primary material, but quotes from those shows can really resonate with people. So, for example, the Tiger King show, while that show had its brief, spotlight of everybody loving it before it kind of faded into obscurity, there was a lot of people creating products, particularly around Carol Baskins. If you know the show, you'll know who that is. If you don't know the show, well, don't worry about it. But anyway, and those were selling on Etsy, and people loved it. There's also, quotes from TV and politicians. So the vice president, very likely vice president-elect, Kamala Harris, probably going to be the 47th president of the United States when Joe Biden dies in his sleep. I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm just saying he's probably going to die in his sleep in office. She was debating Vice President Pence on TV, and she was trying to get a shot in, and she was like, "Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking," because he sort of interrupted her, which was whatever. But that showed up on Etsy, and so people created designs around that. And so the thing is that you have to be watching the debate, or you have to be following that to know that that was a thing, right? So if you're not following the culture very closely, you're not likely to catch these things until later. So don't worry about it too much if you're not. Focus on those first two things. So that was templates and specific phrases. And again, I do talk about this quite a bit more in my, video training program, which you can get access to at salesondemandshow.com/AZ. Make sure you throw that discount code SOD200 in there and sign up for that, because it's time, man. So the last thing I'm going to leave you guys with is some homework. So get out there. If you don't have your Etsy store open yet, get that open. What are you waiting for? Like 2021? People are spending their money right now, and you're sitting there listening to my voice, but you're not taking action. So hopefully that you'll get out there and take some action. Launch 5 to 10 to 15 designs a day, and let's get that bread. All right, everybody, that's it. We'll talk to you soon here. Hopefully I'll have another episode coming out on Friday, because the weekend is not going to be very good for doing that. So look for another episode on Friday. Cheers.